So tonight we have our organizational meeting, and following that, we will have our regular business meeting. So we're gonna initially go through the appointments, the staff appointments, and establishment of a new committee, the appointment of committee members, etc. And that's all on the agenda packet that's in front of you. So we'll go ahead and start with yeah, I think that's hold on a second.
Thinking the volunteers. I think we would thank the volunteers here.
Yeah, so that's right. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah. It's not a communication session. That's why.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so I'd like to thank all the volunteers. So the town doesn't function without volunteers. So with all the committees that we have and boards, it's all volunteers. So thanks to them, the town is able to run. We're able to run the various programs and initiatives that make this town function as good as it does. So thank you all for volunteering. If anyone out there would like to volunteer, there is still room. If there isn't room, we'll make room. Okay. Let's see. So we're going to start with the committees. Hold on a second. Okay, staff appointments. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'd like to. I'm going to motion. For the following staff appointments, which are listed in the resolution, is the town attorney. Greg, I should go through the list, right, and name each and every one. Yeah, okay. So town attorneys, we have Harold's Law PC, including Gregory Foschetti. Planning board attorney, we have Judson Seabird of Keenan Bean. Town planner, wetlands inspector, KSCJ Consulting, also known as Keller Sessions. Town prosecutor is Gregory Monteleone. Town auditor is PKF O'Connor Davies. Chief of staff and benefits coordinator, Kerry Wolf. Controller, Nisha Singh. The deputy supervisor, I'm just gonna say one word about that. I received many emails about the deputy supervisor and the role of that position. So I just want to clarify some points, because a lot of the emails, folks didn't really understand what the responsibility of that role is. So the deputy is entirely a supervisor decision and appointment. The deputy serves at the pleasure of the supervisor. Per state law, any person, including a town officer, official, or employee, may be appointed deputy supervisor. It is not required that they be a town board member. If the deputy supervisor is not a town board member, they do not have a vote at the meetings, even if they are presiding at the meeting in the absence of the supervisor. A deputy supervisor is appointed to perform supervisory duties in the event of an absence, but in the event of a vacancy, the deputy fills in only until the town board appoints an interim supervisor and until an election is held. The deputy does not have extra authority or power, nor can they serve as a successor to the supervisor. It is a role that really only exists for when the supervisor is absent or otherwise occupied.
So it's also, on that, my understanding is subject also when it applies to town law section 42, based upon the timing of the appointment. So
that's correct.
So,
right.
So I guess since we just got this this evening with a handwritten in, maybe just clarify what the proposed appointment is for deputy supervisor and what the plan is on that, because we haven't gotten anything in writing indicating what it'll be up until this point.
Correct. So the deputy supervisor that I'm appointing is Mary Shaw. And my goal is to have a rotating. So we've had in the past, it's been town board members, it's been controllers, it's been the tax receiver, I believe at one point. When I came on board when I was on the town board, it used to be Leo Masterson was our controller. He was the deputy supervisor. And then in the last year of Peter Parsons' tenure as supervisor, he appointed me deputy. When I came on as supervisor, I reappointed Leo as my supervisor, the controller. And for the second year of my term, I appointed Dan Welsh after Leo could no longer hold that position. So at this point, what I'd like to do is appoint Mary Shaw, but I would like to institute a rotating where I'm going to rotate give all town board members an opportunity to hold that position.
So what is the appointment that's being made? I understand what your goal is, but the oath of office that Mary would sign would be for a year term.
That is correct.
So what your goal is, I just still like to understand what you're intending to do, and what you're proposing to the public.
So after and I discussed this with all the board members on Friday. So my goal would be to, on a quarterly basis or 3 times a year, to appoint a board member as a new deputy supervisor.
So all I'm hearing is that you're appointing Mary for right now, and she's taking an oath of office for a year. I'm not hearing anything specific as to what you intend to do after that at any time certain. So I would ask for some clarification.
So 4 months from now or 3 months from now, depending on what I decide to do, because the appointment is at my pleasure of the supervisor, I will then appoint the next deputy supervisor.
So you're not going to disclose who that's going to be?
Not at this point, no.
Well,
Is that critical?
is it critical? No, I just think that, well, I think it's important for the public to understand what you're doing.
Yes. Okay, so
And you're not indicating what you are doing, and you're not indicating
So I just
when
think-
at a time certain what you're going to do at all. So
Mary
in other-
Shaw's being appointed deputy supervisor. That's what I'm doing.
You're right, and
Correct.
the oath of office that she's gonna take, which I have no problem with, is for a year term. So
Correct.
is she gonna be appointed for a year? If that's what it is,
She
that's fine.
tonight she's being appointed for a year, correct?
And is that what you're gonna stay with?
No,
So you're asking to take an oath of office, which is not what your intention is in filling the position.
that's correct.
So at a minimum, you should tell the people
So
what
at
you're
the-
going to do, please.
So what I'm telling the people is that I'm appointing Mary Shaw for deputy supervisor to a 1-year term. At this point in time.
All right, so let me try to wrap my head around exactly what you're saying. So either your intention is to have each one of us serve a quarter of your term as supervisor as deputy.
Correct.
Okay, so that would, if you were to include all 4 of us in that rotation, that would be 2 town board members for this year and 2 town board members for your second year.
Well, if it's quarterly, it would be 4 town board members.
Okay, so-
If it's,
All right,
thirds.
that's what I want to
Yeah.
clarify. So then if you're going to do quarterly, then each one of us would serve 3 months.
3 months, correct.
And then your intention is to rotate every 3 months, one of us to that role as deputy supervisor.
That's correct.
So then let me ask this of our town attorney. Greg, is it necessary to appoint a deputy supervisor for a full 1-year term, or can they be appointed to a 3-month term?
The deputy supervisor serves at the pleasure of the supervisor. There's no term.
So then you're free to appoint Mary for 3 months and then revisit after 3 months to appoint one of us if you're going to do quarterly. Now, you know my position on this.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, Dan, but under the present circumstances, I feel the residents have made their position very clear as to what they would like to see the leadership of the town to include, and they would prefer if Dan was not appointed in that role.
Is this like all the residents?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm
Just check.
saying the feedback, the letters that we've gotten, the comments during public comment. I didn't go out and go door to door to all of our thousands of residents. I'm saying those who have, the majority of those who have had their voices heard have indicated they would prefer Dan not be appointed to the position of deputy supervisor. So if it is your intention to rotate, my suggestion would be to do it 4-month terms amongst the 3 remaining town board members. Otherwise, I'm fine with you picking
Okay.
one person for the remainder of the year, but I just want to. So now we know that you can do, instead of appointing Mary for a full year, you can in fact appoint her for 3 months or 4 months, depending on how you decide. If you decide that you're going to rotate.
Then I just a question. Dan, are you interested in being reappointed?
I'm interested in not using the deputy supervisor position as some sort of backdoor statement about this and that and the other. I think this is kind of a silly discussion we're going through, but evidently we have to do it. I have no craving for this position. I took it last year. Tony asked me. I wasn't really that interested in it, but I was happy to serve. I don't need to have this position, but again, if there's some sort of like, let's punish Dan kind of thing going on behind this, then obviously I'm not really supportive of that in particular, so.
No, I'm just
Like,
like,
I don't
personal view of yours.
Yeah, I mean, so, but I'd rather be in the rotation just so that we are on equal footing. So,
Well,
And just to, in terms of the last 2 years that I've been supervisor, I have not missed one meeting, so deputy hasn't had to step in, with the exception of one special meeting we had a schedule and I was not available, so Dan took the lead on that and it
8 minutes.
it was an 8-minute.
well, it's also an opportunity if you go away to, you take a summer holiday, which is well deserved, and you're in Portugal and there's somebody minding the store. So that's not a bad thing to have during the summer.
Right, and I did that last summer, but I was able to schedule around my meetings, so, yeah.
Okay. So again, I would just ask for clarification. I'm not gonna make.
So for tonight, just to simplify this, I'm appointing Mary Shaw, and when the time comes in 3 or 4 months from now, we will reappoint.
I look forward to the opportunity of serving and the hope that you don't have to rotate as you see fit.
So I'll take all this input into consideration.
Well, that input has been on the table for a while. I wish you would just be unequivocal to people as to what you intend to do during the calendar year, so everybody knows, then we can move forward. But that's, if that's not how you can handle it, it's not how you can handle it.
Right. Okay,
So just to be clear, Mary's being appointed for a full year term or for 3 months?
for a 4-year term. And then when I decide 3 or 4 months, we
did
will-
Greg just tell us that there is no term that you have
There is
to?
no-
There is no
You can
defined
just-
term.
You don't have
It's
to.
the pleasure of
for
the
a term.
supervisor.
It's
So
just
Okay.
being
if you
appointed.
decide that in
Okay.
3 months you want to change, or in 6 months you want to change, or
right.
After
so-
18,
so there
then
is
it's
no
your
term. So
prerogative.
she's being appointed as deputy supervisor.
Correct.
There is no term. Okay.
Correct.
So in the oath of office that Janet's gonna provide, it doesn't need to say the year.
I don't know what the oath says. The oath that I'm
Typically,
familiar with doesn't
it
have a
does.
term in it. Basically discharge my duties as deputy
Yeah.
supervisor.
Okay, if that's the case, then that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
If it has a term.
I thought there was a term in the template of the,
typically put terms in, but.
yeah, so we can leave that out.
Okay.
That's fine, okay. All right.
Good.
Okay, so moving on, so we have, next is the deputy receiver of taxes, which is Anna Bouts. The elections officer / registrar of vital statistics and records management officer is Janet Donahue. The deputy town clerk, deputy elections officer and deputy registrar of vital statistics is Jennifer Caviola. The deputy highway superintendent is to be determined. We have a new highway superintendent and he is not ready yet to appoint his deputy. So we're giving him more time to do that.
Just to be clear, these are appointments at the pleasure of the highway superintendent, correct? And we merely,
It's mirror language. Okay, so it's the highway superintendent's appointment. And the town board can appoint if there's a vacancy after a certain period of time. But usually let the highway superintendent as an elected official.
we were or less by our vote. Not verify, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's a it's acknowledgement or ratification.
So would it be better to table that as opposed to let it sit?
Or pull it out and say.
Yeah, I would just
acknowledge
extract it from
here.
there. It's not that the resolutions for all these appointments, so you can just
So
move it
there's
as
no-
amended
right.
without deputy superintendent of highways.
Right.
And then once you get to the end, move it as amended without that, and then
Right.
you can vote it.
Okay. All right, so that's what we'll do. Dog control officer is Beth Arita, town historian Maureen Cole, cemetery commissioner is Stephen Johnson. Wild Oaks administrator will be myself and Nisha Singh, our controller. And the reason behind that is that Nisha, there's a DEP component to that requires reporting and accounting activity, so Nisha is taking care of that. Oak Ridge Sewer and Water Administrator, that's myself. The Oak Ridge Water Billing Administrator is Deidre Casper. So that was my motion to appoint the folks I just named to those various positions. Do I have a second? Seconded by
A second.
Okay, got it, yeah. All in favor?
Hi,
Hi.
I'll just abstain as to the deputy supervisor. I support Mary. If you're gonna have her there for a year, it's totally cool by me, but without clarification, that's basically it.
And to clarify, it's not a year, we just clarified that,
It's until further notice.
so further notice. Okay. So, moving on, it's the, next is the Town Pool Advisory Council. I turn it over to Rich.
Resolved that the town board does hereby establish the Town Pool Advisory Council, TPAC, to advise the recreation superintendent and town board on pool-related issues that affect the town, which includes seasonal staffing. TPAC's focus is on pool management policies, operational and safety-related procedures, programming, and facilities, both upgrading and new development, and shall consist of 5 members that serve for 3-year terms, along with an associate non-voting member who serves for a 1-year term.
A second.
so just for our benefit, I'm sure you guys discussed this at PrAC and versus like some kind of a subcommittee or something. Sounds like it makes total sense, but just 2 lines of background.
It's just formalizing, and I spoke to Bill and I spoke to Mary about it. They wanted to formalize, and Nicole, sorry, blessing, I said before the private one, right? They wanted to just formalize their informal role as a committee, and then everything gets funneled into both PrAC and Parks and Rec for informational purposes, but they just wanted to formalize the work that they're doing.
Okay,
They've been working behind the scenes for quite some time, and this is just our public acknowledgement and appreciation for what they're doing.
Okay, so Rich motion, Mary you seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have the Advisory Committee for the Disabled, so I motion that Alexandra Morris and Dean Travelino are hereby reappointed as members of the Advisory Committee for the Disabled for 3-year terms ending December 31st, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the Cable TV Committee. I'd like to motion that we reappoint Dean Travelino, Glenn DeFaber, James M. Dodge III as members of the Cable TV Committee for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2026.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is the Conservation Advisory Council. I motion that we appoint or reappoint Sally Frank, Thomas Buskowski, Linda Ray, Joseph Tanzi, John Wolf to the Conservation Advisory Council for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2025.
second,
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Next is the Emergency Management Committee. I'd like to motion that we reappoint John Winter, Dan Murtha, David Alfano, Michael Lynch, Al McClure, Nick Lawrence, Jeffrey Peck, Adam Oakes, Joel Smith, Christopher Russ, Pamela B, and Nicole Caviola to the Emergency Management Committee for 2-year terms ending December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Grant Advisory Committee, I'd like to motion that we reappoint Bob Collins and Adam Oakes to the Grant Advisory Committee for a 1-year term expiring December 31st, 2024.
Second.
yeah, the order is difficult to follow.
Yes. the
Yeah,
order's difficult to
I know,
follow,
so
but-
it's, yeah,
No,
That was a second by you.
that was a second, yeah.
That's
Okay.
second by me, however,
Uh-huh,
um,
discussion,
discussion.
okay.
We haven't used the Grant Advisory Committee. Are we actually going to use them this year? And is it clear what their role is?
Turn it over to the liaison, Rich Slarett.
Well, I've had discussions that one of the things that we have to do in 2024, which I discussed with the supervisor, that we have to provide them with access for researching grants, and so that they can come back and identify potential grant opportunities for the town, which are also consistent with, policy goals that we're trying to advance and areas of grant funding we're seeking. So if we get that mission squared away from the town's perspective, then we have, and also have a mechanism in which to research the grants, then we can ensure the vibrancy of the committee going forward.
Yeah, didn't we budget for that participation in that service? It's like
We did not,
We did
but we
not.
can still,
Okay.
if the board would like to,
Still
yeah.
be a
put on the
good
agenda.
investment, yeah.
Mhm.
I would.
So we'll put that on the agenda for next meeting.
That was seconded.
Yeah, that was seconded, so discussion, we have discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay, next is the Housing Committee. Like to motion that we reappoint Linda Press-Wolf and Annetta Schoenfeld to the Housing Committee for 2-year terms ending December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
The Landmark Advisory Committee. I motion that we reappoint W. Theodore Strauss, Janice Strauss, Maureen Cole, Albert Cole to the Landmark Advisory Committee for 2-year terms that is December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I motion that we reappoint to this is the Open Space and Preserves Advisory Committee, that we reappoint Rose Bonanno, George Scott, and Jim Berenson as members of the Open Space and Preserves Advisory Committee for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Parks and Recreation Advisory Council. I motion that we reappoint Ian Harris, Daniela Goldman, Meg Kaplan, Jennifer Castellano, Melissa LaSavage, Rich Elrod, Pietro Cipriano, as members of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is the Planning Board. Motion that we
Reappoint Bruce Thompson.
At the
Right.
bottom of the-
Oh, here it is. Motion that we approve, that we reappoint Bruce Thompson as a member of the Planning Board for a 5-year term expiring December 31st, 2028. About a second.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
The Stormwater Management Committee. I motion that we reappoint Ron Tettleman as a member of the Stormwater Management Committee for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Sustainability Committee. I motion that we reappoint Bob Fishman, Robert Carpel, Thomas Kelly, Meyer Alcon, Robert Whitaker, and Andrea Rojas as members of the Sustainability Committee for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Town Pool Advisory Council. Motion that to reappoint Chantel Detlefs.
But they're appointed.
Oh, appointment, sorry,
supposed-
it's appointment, yeah. That we appoint Chantel Detlefs, Meg Kaplan, Melanie Malillo, and Bill Tackler as members of the pool committee for 3-year terms expiring December 31st, 2026. And be it further resolved that Melissa Farella is appointed as an associate member of the pool committee for a 1-year term expiring December 31st, 2024.
Seconded.
Discussion,
Are we appointing a chair of that, or just letting them do it amongst themselves?
at the, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Veterans Advisory Committee. I motion that we reappoint Frank Kelly, Adam Oaks, and Doreen Nastasio as members of the Veterans Advisory Committee for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2025. And be it further resolved that and appoint Mark Viebert as a member of the Veterans Advisory Committee for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Zoning Board of Appeals, motion that we reappoint Robin Price Jr. as a member of the zoning board of appeals for 5-year term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay.
Rich.
So, yeah, picture next.
Ron Frank.
We did that.
Oh, the whole everything.
Yeah, you-
Oh, wait, wait, sorry,
you
okay.
missed
I
it.
thought, yeah.
So then,
Yes, following appointments of chairpersons of committees and councils. Advisory Committee for the Disabled, Alexandra Morris. Antenna Advisory Board, Joseph New. Architecture and Community Appearance Review Council, Rose Bonanno. Board of Assessment Review, Lawrence Mandleker. Board of Ethics, Lawrence Mandleker. Cable Television Advisory Committee, Dean Travellino. Conservation Advisory Council, John Wolf. Emergency Management Committee, Adam Oakes and Dan Murtha, Deputy. Grant Advisory Committee to be determined. Housing Committee, Linda Presswolf and Linda Ray. Landmarks Advisory Committee, W. Theodore Strauss. Open Space and Preserves Advisory Committee, Eric Swartout. Parks and Recreation Advisory Council, Ian Harris. Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee to be determined. Planning Board, Janet Anderson. Pool Advisory Committee, William Tackler. Stormwater Management Committee, Paul Lewis. Sustainability Committee, Christopher Cacaro. Veterans Advisory Committee, John Lemke. Zoning Board of Appeals, Rutland Price Jr.
Second,
Discussion. All in favor?
aye.
Next is our appointments, approvals, and authorizations. The first is the procurement policy. Motion that the town board has adopted an amended procurement policy as of October 24th, 2016. And said policy should be reviewed by the town board on an annual basis.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Fee schedule. Motion that the town board does approve the town's fee schedule.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to provide authorization for in-state travel to the supervisor, town board members, and other municipal officials and employees for attendance at annual meetings and training sessions. And be it further resolved that said municipal officials and employees of the town shall submit a request for attendance at such meetings along with an estimate of costs to the town board in advance of such meeting. And be it further resolved that attendees be reimbursed by the town for reasonable budget expenses incurred by their attendance at the meeting/training sessions.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
aye.
Next is memberships. Motion that membership in professional organizations for 2024 are approved and the required 2024 dues be paid.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Association of Towns. Motion that the town board approve the continuation of the membership of the town of Lewisboro in the Association of Towns for 2024 and pay the annual membership dues in the amount of $1,500. And be it further resolved that Supervisor Gonsalves is hereby appointed as the 2024 delegate and Councilman Dan Welch is hereby reappointed as the 2024 alternate delegate and are authorized to vote on behalf of the town of Lewisboro at the annual meeting and training school of the Association of Towns of New York State to be held at the New York Marriott Marquis, February 18th to the 21st, 2024.
Does that match up?
It did go up to 1,800.
Oh,
in the packet.
okay, so we,
Okay.
okay, so as motion as edited.
Is that also, is that for the alternate? The alternate delegate, does that go for deputy supervisor or is that just, or not?
As under the deputy
Okay,
supervisor.
all right. Fine.
but
So I got
maybe,
a second.
maybe it should be. Anyone else have thoughts on that?
Yeah, seems that that's what the point is.
I think it just makes sense that whoever the deputy supervisor be, that it The girl
I don't-
representing the town having a vote at that level should be deputy supervisor. If you can't make it.
That's fine, I don't care.
That's not a requirement. I mean,
I didn't say that it was, I just said it seems logical
why?
because of the
It could be
organization.
any town board member.
That's not what it said. That's not how the motion.
Right, the motion has a name specific, right?
I'm just suggesting it because it seems that it follows.
I'm fine with leaving it the way it
It's
is.
just a
But if-
discussion matter.
Yeah,
I
so
think.
yes, we're discussing, so. It doesn't matter to Dan, so you're saying change it to whom?
I said it follows that if you go, then the deputy supervisor should go. It just makes sense to me.
Well, the only.
Whether
that's
that's
the
staying
same.
with somebody else, I'm
Yeah,
just
like-
saying.
It's an alternate, it's
Yeah.
an alternate delegate, it's not going together.
Right, so to me, it seems that it follows that whoever the deputy supervisor, they should be your second.
So alternate delegate
delegate.
authorized to vote on behalf of the town of Lewisboro at the annual meeting and training school.
That's
Which
just,
is,
that's
which
just
is
my
any town
opinion.
board member,
Oh, I understand.
Okay,
There's
so-
no
Also
requirement.
to the
I'm just-
Association of Town.
right?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay,
saying
what's
that,
that? Yeah,
that's all, it was just a suggestion up for discussion.
okay. So what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is that the deputy supervisor should be the
What's your
alternate
recommendation, Mary?
delegate.
I can go.
Okay, what's your recommendation, Rich?
It should match up with the deputy supervisor,
Okay, fine.
because it's a vote on behalf of the town, so.
Okay. So, all right, so it'll be the deputy supervisor, whoever that person is when they're appointed, so in this case, it's Mary Shaw at this point.
So as amended,
As amended.
need a second.
Who's,
Second,
It's. Okay, so you second
I
it?
second.
Rich. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Parks and Recreation, the setting of seasonal salary ranges. I motion that the 2024 part-time seasonal staff salary ranges as proposed by the Parks and Rec supervisor in a memo dated January 5th, 2024, which all board members should have received, is hereby approved.
Second,
Discussion. All in favor?
it just meets the minimum wage requirements as set forth by the great state of New York.
they're going up now, right?
Yes.
$16 this year. Yeah.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Setting the mileage rate. I motion that town employees and elected officials should be reimbursed for use of a personal vehicle for town business when a town-owned vehicle is not available for use at the per mile rate set by the IRS.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Kennel, I guess. Should this be a motion by somebody else since it's authorizing me to sign?
I'll do.
Doesn't matter?
Second.
Okay, so it doesn't matter, okay.
Hereby, it doesn't matter, you want me to?
Yeah, so I motion that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign a one-year agreement for a term expiring December 31st, 2024 between the town and South Salem Animal Hospital, which provides for holding and sheltering dogs in accordance with the provisions of the New York State Agriculture and Market Law. And in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 105 of the Code of the Town of Lewisboro, at a cost of South Salem Animal Hospital's going rate per 24 hours or part thereof, and $50. If the dog belongs to the town of Lewisboro and is waiting to be adopted now, said approval is subject to council's review of the agreement.
Second,
Discussion.
Adopt, don't shop. Adopt the dogs.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization of the annual agreement with the library. I'd like to motion that the supervisor be hereby authorized to sign the 2024 agreement with the Lewisboro Library.
So
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
The designation of the official newspaper and alternative. I motion that the town board designate the Record Review as the official newspaper for the town of Lewisboro, along with the Journal News, which is a daily paper, as an alternative paper.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Finance, designation of banks. Motion that JP Morgan Chase and Flagstar Bank are hereby approved as the depositories for town funds during the year 2024.
Second, I'm sorry.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Rich? Is that an aye?
Yeah, I was just, do we have any flexibility, like based upon, I mean, interest rates seem to be better, like as far as if one bank is.
That's what I was just thinking.
Oh, you,
Actually, Nisha just did that recently. She was able to get us a good rate on.
okay, so she has
One of
that
these-
flexibility to put the money with a bank of. higher
Correct, it's
interest.
with these banks, but you know, accounts that are interest bearing.
Okay,
And
good.
nothing stops her coming midway through the year and asking us to approve another.
Perfect, that's exactly my,
Right.
okay, great.
Okay, so next we have also with finance, the transfer authorization. This will be, so it's a motion that the town supervisor and the town controller are hereby authorized to make transfer of funds not to exceed $10,000 a month among the appropriation lines of the 2024 town budget.
Second. Oh, sorry. That should have been my motion.
Oh, that was your motion?
Yeah,
Sorry.
anyway, no, that's all right.
Okay,
It's
so-
done.
Scratch that, Janet. Tony's motion. Is that okay, Greg? It's authorizing me to transfer.
Spend money.
Spend money. Well, not spend, but
Is
put
it
it in a
10,000?
Put it in
place
different lines in your
for
budget.
spending.
Is it 10,000 a statutory and accounting thing, or just?
No, it's what
It's a town.
the board, that's what the board has typically done.
Yeah.
So for purposes of, it's audit and controlling.
Being able to operate.
It has to be more.
Do you second it?
Yeah.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
This is related to the highway department and their authorization of purchase tools. So I motion that pursuant to section 142 of the highway law, the superintendent of highways of the town of Lewisboro is hereby authorized to purchase equipment, tools, and other implements to be used for highway maintenance, construction, or reconstruction during 2024, subject to the limitations of budgetary appropriations and public bidding requirements.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Also related to the highway department's agreement to spend funds, I motion that pursuant to the provisions of section 284 of the highway law, the agreement to spend town highway funds budgeted for the year 2024 as presented to the town board by the superintendent of highways is hereby approved.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Highway estimate and budget. I'd like to motion that the annual highway estimate and budget for 2024 as presented by the superintendent of highways hereby is approved.
second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Town board meeting dates. Motion that the town board meetings for the town of Lewisboro shall normally take place on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. Such meetings will normally be held at the Townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem, New York, or at the Lewisboro Library, 15 Main Street, South Salem, New York, at 7:30 p.m. Additional meetings will be held as the board deems necessary.
Second.
Discussion? I did have one point to say. I was considering changing that, but I didn't get a chance to really run it by the board.
changing to what?
From a Monday, because Monday's kind of a first day in the week. Change it to maybe like a Tuesday. But we're not gonna do that right now.
It would mess up your reading offices pages.
Right, so, right, that's a good point. So, yeah. I just thought that Monday's kind of sometimes it's a
Sometimes it's a challenge.
challenge.
I prefer Mondays.
Okay, so leave it in with one, that's why I left it.
Yeah.
So. Didn't want to change it right away. Okay, next we have
The
liaisons.
next one is mine. I move that we approve the following 2024 town board liaison list. Advisory Committee for the Disabled, Councilmember Shaw, Architecture and Community Appearance Review Council, Councilmember Rendo, Tenant Advisory Board, Supervisor Gonsalves, Assessor's Office, Board of Assessment Review, Councilmember Rendo, Benefits Administration Department, Councilmember Shaw, Building Department, Supervisor Gonsalves, Cable Television Committee, Councilmember Rendo, Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, Councilmember Rendo, and myself, Dan Welsh, Conservation Advisory Council, Councilmember Shaw. Report pursuant to Uniform Justice Court 2019-A, Councilmember Clary. The East of Hudson Watershed Corporation, Supervisor Gonsalves. Emergency Management Committee, Councilmember Shaw. The Ethics Board, Councilmember Rendo. Finance Department, Supervisor Gonsalves. Grants Committee, Councilmember Sclaren. Highway Department, Councilmember Sclaren. Housing Committee, myself, Dan Welsh. Lewisboro School Board, Supervisor Gonsalves. Labor Negotiations, Supervisor Gonsalves and Councilmember Sclaren. Landmarks Advisory Committee, Councilmember Shaw.
No,
Brenda,
Oh, sorry, Councilmember Randall, skip the line. Library, Councilmember Shaw. Maintenance Department, Supervisor Gonsalves. Oak Ridge and Wild Oaks Water Sewer Districts. OWD, what's that?
That's the
Oak
Oak
Ridge.
Ridge.
Oh, Oak Ridge Water District is Supervisor Gonsalves and Councilmember Rendo. And the Wild Oaks Sewer is Councilmember Sclaren. Open Space and Preserves Advisory Committee, myself, Dan Welsh. Parks and Recreation Advisory Council, Councilmember Shaw. Parks and Recreation Department, Councilmember Shaw. Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee, myself, Dan Welsh. Planning Board, Councilmember Sclaren. Police Department, Councilmember Rendo. Sustainability Committee / Recycling Department, myself, Dan Welsh. Stormwater Management Committee, myself, Dan Welsh. Tax Receivers Office, Tony Gonsalves, Supervisor Gonsalves. Town Clerk's Office, Supervisor Gonsalves. Town Pool Advisory Council, Councilmember Sclaren. Veterans Advisory Committee, Supervisor Gonsalves. And Zoning Board of Appeals, Councilmember Shaw.
second,
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So that takes care of that. Okay, next we'll start with our regular meeting. I was into that 40 minutes. Let's see, I just have a couple of things in terms of communication. So it was in your packet, but we did receive the Conservation Advisory Council 2023 annual report. I'm not going to read it all, but it's in the packet and it's been posted, I believe, to the website. It will be.
did we also do that for the emergency management?
I don't
see
think
it.
there's a requirement for that. I'm aware of. For the CAC, there is.
I didn't see it in my packet.
I had emailed it, it might, maybe, I
Okay.
think it is in the packet, it is in the
I
packet.
printed the whole packet out and I see lots of contracts and things that we needed
I
to.
have an
approve,
extra
whatever
copy,
it
I
is.
think.
Maybe you emailed it separately, I'm sorry.
No, I did email it initially, but then it was included in the packet.
Maybe I printed out. a
Here it is, the one I think,
Oh,
but
thank you.
I think it's yeah, it's in the packet. So basically, I think, yeah, I mean, do you want to read it? Is that the liaison?
It's long.
It's not, yeah, it's a couple of,
It's, you know,
3 pages.
people think we should just focus on
Yeah. okay,
the rest of the meeting.
okay, so it's in the packet that's in front of.
And
everyone
posted
here,
on the
and-
website.
And if people have a hard time accessing it online, please email me and I can forward it to you as a separate document.
All right, so a couple other things. So today I received, this is related to the Escalita Road culvert replacement. I received from the Department of Transportation, the initial approval on the initial project proposal. If you recall, this is the project where we were awarded a $1.4 million grant. So this is was the next step in the process. So they approved that and sent that off to me today. So that's a positive step in the right direction. The other 2 items I received here are from the Westchester County Department of Health. One is the permit to operate a public water supply for Keeler Field, which is the local water system here that serves the townhouse and several residents here in the area. So it's the permit for 2024. So that means that we passed all the DOH requirements. I'll just read the description. It's an unfiltered groundwater supply consisting of 2 wells with a total production capacity of 59,040 gallons per day, an average daily consumption of 2,000 gallons, disinfection by chlorination with 2,120 gallon chlorine contact tank with internal baffles. Well, number 2 is not a service until the iron in the soil is below the MCL, serving a population of 100. It's actually less than 100, but we're clearing that up with the DOH. The next one is also from the Department of Health. It's for the Oak Ridge Water District. And again, it's a permit to operate the public water supply at Oak Ridge for 2024. The water supply description, it's an unfiltered groundwater supply consisting of 5 wells with a total production capacity of 282,000 gallons per day, an average daily consumption of 55,000 gallons, a water distribution storage capacity of 95,000 gallons, and with treatment that includes permanganate and green sand filtration and liquid chlorine disinfection, serving a population of 892. So that's what I have for communications. Moving on, consent agenda, motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes minutes of December 18, 2023, and the monthly reports from the building department and the police department.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Comprehensive plan master, comprehensive master plan update. So is,
Katie?
no, not Katie.
Valerie?
Valerie, sorry, Valerie. Is she here? I think she's on Zoom. I spoke to her earlier.
Katie,
If you-
or
Valerie.
Valerie, could you raise your hand, please?
Do we need to instruct?
No, there's not, I don't know. I don't
No?
think does she, have anything to present? I don't think so. Well, let's let her get on. I think she was just gonna review.
Hello, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would share my video, but it says right now I can't share my video, so you'll just have my name. So again, I'm Valerie Menastra from Nelson Pope and Voorhees. Thank you for having me here this evening. Basically, the town board has received the draft comprehensive plan. That includes Appendix A, which is the inventory analysis, and also an Appendix B, accessibility and inclusive design best practices. These documents, including the draft plan as well as the inventory and analysis, and the accessibility and inclusive design best practices document, have been reviewed by the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, including the town board liaisons to the steering committee. In addition, the comprehensive plan itself, as well as the inventory analysis, the visions, goals, and objectives were also reviewed by the public during the second round of public participation, and for the most part have remained unchanged since that second round of public participation. So all documents now are available on the town's website. We also delivered to the town board the first round of zoning changes. There are a few items that we will still need some direction from the town board on, but that will be discussed at a later meeting, and I'll be working with Tony, the supervisor, to best identify how best to proceed in terms of getting your input on a couple remaining items. And then we will also be working on a second round of zoning changes, which will also be distributed to the town board in the next month or two. All zoning changes, just as for the town's public information, are based on the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, and basically they're implementing the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. And again, all zoning changes to date are posted on the town's website. So the next step in this process will be the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, along with our team, will be facilitating the final public workshop. This public workshop will be held on January 29th at 7:30 at the Lewisboro Townhouse. This will also be an in-person event as well as over Zoom. There'll be a presentation on the draft plan as well as a high-level explanation of the zoning changes that are being contemplated and the additional zoning changes that are being undertaken. And then we'll open it up for questions and answers. So with that, I don't know if the town board has any questions with tonight or any questions on the process and where we go from here, or in the last public workshop. I'm happy to take any questions.
I just had a timing question. We just
Sure.
have a target we're shooting for. There's no legal or economic ramifications as far as a certain time of doing this, right? And adopting it, final adoption.
That's correct. We're trying to stay on schedule with an adoption this spring. Again, we're getting closer towards the end. So, if things shift a little bit here or there, I don't anticipate them shifting more than a few weeks.
Okay, so we're just staying with our own planning target to get it done when we can get it done. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Valerie, could you describe the format of the workshop very quickly, just so people know what to expect?
Sure. So I plan to do an approximately, 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more presentation, just kind of giving the public information on the comprehensive plan process, also the comprehensive plan itself, the goals and objectives, and also, where they can locate the information, and then as well as giving the public information on the proposed zoning changes, not necessarily the full details, but just, again, high level discussion of those zoning changes. And I've also been talking to the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee as some options as we finalize the zoning changes to maybe hold what I'm calling like a little bit of like office hours or an open house where either I attend in person or we also schedule it over Zoom, where if people have any very specific questions on the zoning, that they could, contact me and I can answer their questions one-on-one. And we'll finalize those dates and times and when that would take place once we have both the final draft zoning ready and available for the public's review.
So after the 20-minute presentation, though, there'll also be some time for questions, I assume.
That's correct. There'll be times for questions, answers, and then I also plan to have somebody in person who has all the documents. So if people have very specific questions, we'll hopefully be able to point them to the, exact chapters or pages in which the items or issues or concerns they have are discussed.
Okay. And I'm just wondering, we'll undoubtedly have a lot of enthusiasm about coming to this meeting. Do we think that our room here is adequate, or should we consider?
It's already been posted that it's going to be here, and it's going to be over Zoom as well.
Okay.
We can always, if we think the library is bigger, I mean, we can always post a sign outside, have people walk over. But the issue with that is that we don't have the Zoom infrastructure there. We do here.
Okay, fair enough.
So we want to be able to Zoom. And I think.
And or the court. The court
Usually is on Monday nights.
anyway.
Any way to maybe have people RSVP so we have an idea about head count?
It's
hope.
really, it's very difficult
Yeah.
to monitor and to keep track of, because people who respond yes last minute can't come, and then people like to know that they can come last minute. So it's really, I would encourage everyone, if you hadn't yet had the opportunity to voice any concerns or comments, to please attend the meeting. We would hate to get to the end of this process and hear that only a handful of people were involved in the process, when there has been a number of workshops throughout the past year and a number of opportunities for people to participate. And please understand that when Valerie talks about zoning changes, these zoning changes, when she says final, these are final proposed zoning amendments. They all come to the town board. We have to decide as a board whether we're going to adopt those changes change them, amend them, and then they go out before we can adopt them, there's gonna be a public hearing. Because that means that we have to change our town code. So there will be an opportunity to be heard again. So just because Valerie's saying that they're final draft. So yes. Yes.
Correct, right.
So, and I know that, on the zoning, the subcommittee for the zoning amendments include the chairs of our various committees, the zoning board, the planning board, and architectural review board. I think CAC also, so most of our boards do have their chair people there, but also they will be referred out. So just because Valerie's saying final, there's just a final draft. So there's still many more times where they're going to be reviewed.
We have to follow.
Yeah.
The law. And,
Yes,
and the
that's
last time, just a gentle reminder, the last time we had a master plan that's now called the comprehensive plan was 1985. So it's really important that everybody step up and share their perspective for a richer and diverse outcome. We want this plan to last for another 10 years.
And you don't have to wait till the January 29th workshop. The draft documents are on the website, so you can start reviewing them now.
Once you get home.
Valerie, yeah, we can hardly hear you, but go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say that's correct, and I apologize, yes, and thank you for the clarification. What I meant was final, I meant draft final, and yes, there will be public hearings. There will also be you'll refer the zoning changes out to the appropriate boards. And also, just as a note, you've also had your town planning board attorney as well as your planning board planner also reviewing the zoning changes. So one of the things that we're just making, one of the things that's very important is that any potential zoning changes that are enacted need to work with your process and procedures in the on the town, as well as the other thing I just want to note is that a lot of the zoning changes are, while there are numerous zoning changes, a lot of it is really just updating the code to current standards and not necessarily overhauling any particular zoning district or any particular uses within the town.
Monday, January 29th, 7:30 here or by Zoom. And you can find the Zoom link on the notice, which I think is also posted on the website, right, Val?
That's correct.
There was a lot of good work done in just cleanup of years of, code drift and mismatched, usage. So I think it's a worthwhile exercise for sure.
All right. Anything else, Valerie?
No, that's all this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, Valerie.
And for
Thanks, you too.
our friends at home, the link to the workshop for January 29th is on the front page of lewisboro.gov.com.
Excellent. Okay, so moving on. Next, we have a resolution approving the employee assistance program agreement and authorizing the supervisor to sign.
Second.
Actually, you first did and I'll second it.
Motion. So moved.
So you moved, okay. You
And I
second.
second.
Discussion,
I'll just say, it looks like a very rich program and we should make sure the employees are aware of all the things that are in that stuff.
no, agreed, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is the resolution approving the partners in safety agreement and authorizing the supervisor to sign.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is approving, resolution approving the administrative services agreement with UMR. UMR is with whom we
That's our
have our dental coverage with.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is a resolution authorizing application for a grant for Elmwood Road Culvert. So
Okay, good.
there's another opportunity. It's a New York State DOT Bridge New York grant, just like the one we were successful in getting for Oskalita Road. And we're gonna try again for the Elmwood Road culvert, which in the past we
Been
have tried
unsuccessful
and
in the past.
correct, yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get this one.
Blanking out where that street, where the street and the side street there, where I know where it is.
It's off of Lockwood
Wakeman?
and then Wakeman.
Yeah, wait.
No, in between the two.
It's just past the Wakeman before you go to the next stop sign out. There's lots of flooding that happens
No, I know,
there.
no, I just,
Yeah.
I know this picture.
Okay, so we have
So-
a motion.
I
Yeah,
know-
so motion to apply for the grant. Okay,
I'll second.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is related to the Oskalina Culvert project. We now have to go out to bid for an engineering consultant for the project. So this is a board approval. So I'd like to motion that the board approve advertising a bid, the bid specs for the Oskalina Culvert project.
So we have to, because why? Because of the scope of the project?
It's required by New York State.
Is it for the design of the project? Or
It
for-
is for, yes.
Okay, so it's an RFP. Request for
Um,
proposals. It's professional
is it?
services.
Okay.
So
okay,
you
so
would,
it's
you
in-
would, it's a competitive pricing
Yeah,
process, but being that it's not the actual construction work.
no.
Right,
no,
you're
it's for
looking to get the design
consultant.
done for the,
Right.
right. So
Okay.
it would be a request for proposals for design
So I
and
picked that
construction
up off a
management.
call
Okay.
with New York State, so I didn't,
Sorry,
they might have said RFP and I translated that to a bid, but, okay,
has the same effect, but
Yeah.
it's just not required by law.
Right.
You just do it for your own procurement policy
Right.
and for competitive pricing.
So.
Yep. okay.
Second.
Okay, next is, oh, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is the, resolution approving Mayfield Sanitation LLC's application to collect and dispose of refuse and recyclables. Town of Lewisboro. That's my motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
For the next one, motion to approve curbside compost application to collect food scrap compost at 3 town locations.
Those are the three that we already have, yes, so just continuing.
We're actually using a different, we went out to bid again, not to bid, to RFP,
Mhm.
and I think
Oh, so the
It's
name of
listed-
them is curbside.
it's curbside compost, correct, that's right.
So what, is this really an application or is it
Authorization
granting-
to
We grant.
to hire them.
so award
the business to them, and it also includes cleaning out the bins,
I think that
Yeah.
is.
yeah,
so,
within the budget that we have out.
so is that,
Carrying the locks.
No,
but they are doing something with that. With the
yeah,
locks.
I thought so.
Yeah, we still have.
Because they have a system swapping out the containers that's not now.
Thought I had a, I mean, the,
So we should be authorizing you to sign, then, seems like.
well, approve the, and Ed signed,
Yeah. Cool.
oh, here it is, this is the email that. We have 3 carting companies
Mhm.
and curbside. Came in at $7,200 per year, and that includes the cleaning service. Yeah, and they deliver 20 cubic yards of compost for $700. The recommendation was to go with curbside compost.
I move that we authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement with curbside compost as set out by the supervisor.
And I second that motion.
Sorry, that I
Discussion.
grabbed your paper,
Sorry.
discussion.
Oh.
I just saw that the top, 2 submissions are. Oh, no, wait, no, it's not. Never mind. I retract, I take back my question. I saw.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And for the folks at home, we still have composting kits available that you can buy here and at Parks and Rec. I think it's $32 now. And it has a smaller container for your kitchen. You put your eggshells, your banana peels, chicken bones, if that's what you eat. And then you put it in your garage, and then once a week you come to either on a tree, the town, behind the town park in front of the highway department, or at Fox Valley Park near the place where they have the picnics. So it's easy to do. Thanks for letting me know.
Thank you, that's good. So. All in favor? Aye. Next is the resolution approving the 2024 Keller Sessions, also known as KSCJ Consulting Agreements for MS4 reports and stormwater outfalls. So these agreements were distributed to the board. They're in the packet. It's the same price, same cost as last year.
It's an annual, or
It's an annual requirement.
MS4 requirement.
Correct, or, right.
So we'll
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a resolution approving, we approved this in the budget, so basically it's an authorization for the supervisor to sign the agreement with for GIS services with CAI Technologies for $29,500.
I move.
What
that-
type of mapping do they do?
This is,
Go ahead.
oh, isn't this for
It's for-
the tax assessment?
It's for the assessor, correct?
It's
Digitizing,
gonna straighten us out, so we're more compatible with the county, I believe. So,
And
would also
In the
help
21st
help
century.
productivity and efficiency for the department.
yeah, this is a long awaited.
I move that we authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement for professional GIS services agreement.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's see. Okay, next we have it's a resolution approving the 2024 interagency agreement renewal with Northeast Westchester Special Recreation and authorizing the supervisor to sign.
This is for the camp?
This is for Parks and Rec. It's for the right.
Special needs camp.
recreation,
Right, yeah,
Right,
right?
I'll move.
Second,
discussion, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, a couple of new things, which I like to. Okay, this one came about today. A second. It's from Highway. They would like to, or new highway superintendent would like to go to bid or advertise for bids for removal of the dirt pile at the salt dome. Oh, yeah, okay.
Did you want to do a request for bid or another RFP?
It's
This is a bid. It's
a
a
bid,
GMO
okay.
bid.
Yeah, so he's seeking steel bids, yep. So a motion that we allow the superintendent of highways to solicit bids for the removal of the dirt that's at the salt dome.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Is there anything special about that dirt? Or,
hopefully not.
I mean, that's.
Hopefully it'll,
Well, this is the same, is this the same thing that when we put out last time, we only got one?
It's been bid before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
We only
the
had
bids
one
were rejected.
response. Right,
This
and
is,
we also had some of it removed. It was limited.
It's not like the storm drain.
no, I think this is the one where only Hickory Homes responded to the bid. Am I correct, Greg? It was only Hickory Homes last time?
I believe we had a short response in terms of number of bidders, and it was for a partial
Right.
amount of the stockpile. According to your highway superintendent, this is the remainder of the stockpile they're looking to get rid of, and it's contemplated that it's going to be more than $35,000.
Right, and I think it's already in the budget.
That as well.
Okay, so next, my other new item is related to the Oak Ridge Water Plant Expansion Project. So we had bids that came in. We selected, or there was a recommendation from Delaware Engineering to go with the three contractors. There was one it was a general contractor, another component of it was the electrical, and then the third was HVAC. The price came in higher than we had initially estimated. And as a result, in order to finalize the grant that we're receiving from New York State EFC, they wanted us to go through bond counsel and obtain a letter updating the project cost to be presented to the town board. That's a letter that I emailed everyone. And then it'll be filed with the town clerk. And this letter was used by bond counsel to draft the project cost resolution, which was also sent to everybody. And I have copies here, if you guys, want it.
Yes, please.
Yes, this is the. This is from bond counsel, I'm sorry.
Wait, hang on a second.
This is mine. And then, the actual letter. Delaware Engineering for recommendation.
Right, so how much did it go up by?
So the PFAS project alone is about 3.9, so it went up by about $2 million.
Not a little bit, it went up a lot.
It went up quite a bit. So the
From what to what?
we had estimated 2 million based on an existing similar project. When I say we, this was Delaware Engineering, and that was late in 2021. When we first sized the project. Now, there is a huge demand for these types of filtration systems.
Yeah.
So there's not only a shortage of the actual system, the GAC, granular activated carbon, but the prices have gone up, and also the labor costs, et cetera.
So from 1.9 to.
So about 3.9. Now, included in that project, we're doing some other enhancements, which actually drove the entire cost about 4.2 million. So the resolution from bond counsel, it states so it revises the estimated maximum cost to 4.2 million.
Okay.
In October 2021, the board approved the resolution borrowing up to 1.9 million. And our borrowing for this project is going to be roughly 1 million. So we have the federal grant, which is $1.8 million. We have the state grant, which is 1.16 million. So that'll get us close to 3 million. And then the remainder will be a loan through the New York State short-term financing, a clean water or a state revolving fund loan, they call it.
And just to clarify, this is
Mhm.
not a bond that gets paid back through the tax base of the entire.
Oh, no, this is the
I just-
district only, correct?
I know,
And
I just,
that's-
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
to
important
make-
to
yeah, no, it's a-
restate that to the public so that they understand that
That's an
it's
important point.
specifically to the taxing district for the water district.
Correct. And so the district is aware of these bids that came in. They came in December 7th is when the bids were due. And then I'm gonna have a follow-up meeting with them to discuss where we are. But at this point, in order to finalize, EFC basically put a halt on closing on the grant finalization and putting the grant agreement out to us because of this cost change.
And it's increased by a little over $2 million.
Correct. Yes.
Is anything being sent out to the members of the district so they know their current cost per?
Yeah, so
unit?
yes, so the information went to the committee. There's a committee that we formed within Oak Ridge. But once we get all our facts, including from EPA, which we're close to closing on that loan, and then there's the cost share component,
Yep.
which is the only open component.
Right, but you
Um,
submitted all that required
yes.
information, so we're just waiting to hear on that part.
Correct.
Okay.
Based on a call last week, it sounds encouraging, so
Good.
hopefully we will not have any additional cost share component that we will be responsible for, we the district.
So the EFC halted on the closing until we have updated
Correct,
information
until
from
we get
bond
this,
council?
correct. So
Okay.
what we have to do, and this is what I put on my email, so tonight we have to we adopt an order calling for the public hearing and publish it in the paper this week. So I'm looking at Janet because she's gonna do that. And then at the town board meeting of January 22nd, we'll hold a public hearing and adopt the public interest order and the project cost resolution. And that timing works with when we have to get back to the contractor to award the bid,
Okay,
or award the business to the recommended
all right, so it's just
contractors.
a little bit more red tape until we can award the bid.
Right,
We've got someone that we want to award it to, so we just have to dot a few more i's, cross a few more t's with this
Right,
project increasing cost, and then we can start moving ahead.
right. And I'm trying to keep the, of course, the borrowing to a minimum. So this is the work that's been going on with EFC. So that $4.2 million project, which includes some other work that's being paid for by a prior WIA grant, that we still have some monies left over, about $195,000 left over from the 2019 WIA grant. Dan, you probably remember that, the trihalomethanes thing. So we have that, and on top of that, we have the settlement from the PFAS class action. We received a good faith estimate on what the award will be, but there's a possibility we'll get even more. And especially with this, with these costs going higher, the attorney that's working on that case for us is going to submit this information as well to try to get more on the settlement.
What's the current projection on the PFAS?
The good faith estimate was over $200,000. Yeah. So hopefully with all that, we can minimize the cost to the district and maybe use some of those funds to pay off whatever's left over, pay off the loan with New York State.
And what's the anticipated timetable once this is shovel in the ground on this?
May of this year is when we are proposing, looking to start,
And then,
and it's a 1-year project.
okay.
Yeah.
So May 24 to May 25 is what we're
Correct.
looking at now. Okay.
Right.
Excellent.
And
All right, so we need to do this resolution for the hearing. Can I read this out real quick, or let me read it?
sure.
Whereas
Go
the
ahead.
town board of the town of Lewisboro, Westchester County, New York previously held a public hearing on August 9th, 2021, and adopted public interest order and a bond resolution, each dated October 12th, 2021, authorizing $1,938,500 for bonds to pay the increase in improvement of the facilities, the Oak Ridge Water District in the town, described in an engineering report dated May 2021. The report prepared by Delaware Engineering DPC, consisting of design and construction of an expansion to the water treatment plant. To remove certain chemicals generally known as PFAS, including improvements to booster pump treatment chemicals, valves, meters, and other appurtenances, and relative and incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith. And whereas it is determined an estimated maximum cost of such project is $4,284,163, an increase of $2,344,663. And whereas the revised estimated maximum cost is expected to be paid with grants or funds expected to receive from the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation and U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, currently in the hands of the amount of $3,158,700,000, and 2 bonds in the town previously authorized pursuant to bond resolution dated October 12, 2021. Whereas an amendment number 1 to the report dated January 1st, 2024 has been prepared by Delaware Engineering DPC, which describes such revised estimated maximum cost. Whereas an environmental analysis previously prepared pursuant to the regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, promulgated pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act in connection with such increase and improvement of the facilities of said district, and was been determined that such increase and improvement of the facilities of said district and use will not result in any significant environmental effects. Whereas it's now decided to call public hearing on said revised estimated maximum cost of such increase and improvement pursuant to section 202-B of town law. Now, therefore, be it ordered by the town board of the town of Lewisboro, Westchester County, New York, as followed. The one meeting of the town board of the town of Lewisboro, Westchester County, New York, has been held at the townhouse, 11 Main Street in Southfield, New York. Said town on January 22nd, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the purpose of conducting a public hearing on the revised estimated maximum cost of the increase and improvement of the facilities of the Oak Ridge Water District in said town, consisting of design and construction of an expansion of the water sewer plant to remove certain chemicals generally known as PFAS, including improvements to booster pumps, treatment chemicals, valves, meters, and other appurtenances and related incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith. At which time place said town board will hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning the same. Section 2, town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause a notice of said public hearing to be published in the
Record review journal.
Record reviews.
This record review is on Friday, the official newspaper of said town, and posted in a manner prescribed by the law, which notice shall be substantially in the following form as
as attached.
As attached.
Just so everyone knows, a copy of the resolution, in case you missed all that, because that was really good, Dan. You'll be in the minutes of this meeting, the full and complete copy of the.
Okay. We need a second and all that.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Um. So Greg, just to clarify, we need to execute this. Oh, actually, there's a roll call, right?
On the public hearing, I don't think you don't have to do a roll
So
call.
we do.
You can do it either way. When you do the additional project resolution, that will have to be a roll call because it involves the potential expenditure.
Okay,
But we're not doing that
so we're not doing that now.
tonight.
You're setting the public hearing. After you close the
Got it.
public hearing,
Yeah,
then you can act on the project cost resolution.
On the 22nd.
Yes.
okay. Okay, so that was the only other divider I had. Oh, wait a minute. No, we're good. Okay. Okay, next we have public comments for the new business items only. Would anyone here like to say something? 3 minutes, name and Hamlet. And it's only for the new business items.
New business, can you hear me? It's really quick, 30 seconds. I'm 2024. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. I'm Letitia from Golden Bridge, and that's my comment.
Happy New Year.
It's appropriate since it's new business.
Oh, but that was not on my agenda, but thank you anyway. Anybody else?
Good evening. I'm Richard Holub. I spoke at the last meeting. I had sent the board and Chief Alfano a memo. Supervisor Gonzalez very kindly called me up a couple of days later, and we agreed that I would come and request that the board at its executive session consider forming some sort of a working group or committee to discuss the traffic situation on Ridgefield Avenue.
So
This might be something that would be within the highway department, but maybe a police.
so sorry to interrupt, but it has to be related to the new business on the agenda.
Oh, okay, I'm
But
sorry.
I have to have a conversation with the chief about what we're gonna do. And then
Okay.
We will, yeah, we'll be in touch.
All right, thank
Feel
you.
free to call me if you don't hear from me. Sometimes I
Okay.
forget.
Fair enough. Thank
Okay,
you.
Great.
So what do we, so the 2 public comments, but only,
There's only one public comment.
But, okay, wouldn't new business be anything new, not just what's related to the agenda?
Well, new business is on the agenda. That's what we always used to do. We would have a public comment in the beginning and then a couple public comment
Tony,
related
I'm
to the
sorry,
agenda.
last year, if you look at last year, the agenda didn't say that.
That's right. We changed it. We added 2 public comments but for tonight, because it was an organizational meeting, we only have 1 public comment.
But
Yeah.
anything new business should really be anything about tonight's meeting. It should not just be about, it wasn't clear on the agenda.
Yeah, so it's new business. It says new business items only.
It says new business, it doesn't say. new
Yeah,
business items.
okay, so so we'll have to rephrase it next time. Okay. All right, so anyone else would like to speak?
Elizabeth, you raised your hand.
Well, I'm confused as to what we're allowed to speak about now. I mean, I want to speak about deputy supervisor.
It's up to the board. I mean, the intent was to keep it to the new business items on the agenda, but if the board would want to expand that, that's a board decision. If the board approves of it. So first we have to pull the board
I'm,
to deviate.
I'm fine.
I'm good with
fine,
it.
You're good? You're good? All right, so we're good.
especially since we only have 1.
Just going through protocol.
All right, so I just wanted to say how deeply disappointed I am in the decision on deputy supervisor. Tony, you're basically just kicking the can down the road. It's disheartening to witness you condoning and accepting his anti-Semitic statements. You've heard from your constituents and basically dismiss them. Dan Welsh's future reappointment sends a message that you're accepting and endorsing his views. The position as deputy supervisor should be held by someone who genuinely represents the diverse perspectives and values of our community, not someone who acts as an embarrassment to our town. Our community deserves a representative who prioritizes the well-being of all of our residents over his own personal agenda and activism. The decision to potentially reappoint Dan Welsh raises questions about your commitment to fostering an inclusive and non-anti-Semitic and forward-thinking environment. Let us not forget that leadership should unite, not divide, and it is our responsibility as engaged citizens to voice our concerns and work towards a better future of our town. Dan, I once again ask that you apologize and resign from your position.
Anyone else?
Elizabeth Katz, South Salem. I just want to say that many town board meetings I've attended via Zoom in the past few years, I've heard the board talk about inclusivity and making everyone feel welcome in this town. Well, congratulations, Dan Welsh. You single-handedly made many people in the Jewish community feel unwelcome, and some even feel unsafe in their own community. When you think about a small town government, you think it should be used as a force to unite people. Instead, Dan, you seem to be focused more on creating division. So it is not inclusivity for all groups. It seems very hypocritical to me.
Anyone else?
Elizabeth Ammerling from South Salem. So I had 2 points. And Tony, I wanted to express my gratitude for your decision to not appoint Dan as the new deputy supervisor. But as I was not in attendance, but I was able to get the information, it seems as though the decision is very wishy-washy, that it could be given back to him at any time. We don't know whether we will be informed if that decision actually occurs. And that really feels to me as though you're not taking a stance and giving one person on this board a chance to have that position for the year. So Dan, I am here to express my deep concern about the division that has been fueled by your words of hatred throughout our town. I and many others have highlighted the hurt and the fear it has caused in our community. Numerous voices, including Assemblyman Chris Burdick, local rabbi, fellow constituents, and board members, have rightfully spoken strongly against hate. Unfortunately, you have never acknowledged in public that these comments have made any impact on you whatsoever. It is as if knowing that you hurt your constituents means nothing. I implore you to reflect on the valid concerns raised by our fellow residents and consider the importance of fostering unity and understanding. And until we hear something from you, we will continue to ask this of you and ask for your resignation until something changes. Thank you.
Anyone else here?
Good evening, everyone. Beth Uretsky, Golden Bridge. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. Most important. Second of all, I'm not going to go into details about a private conversation that I was fortunate to have with Tony and Dan. That would be something for Tony or Dan to share. I don't find it necessary, but I do think that at least Dan and I do have a clear understanding of each other. So for that, Dan, I am grateful to you. And I'm also grateful to you, Tony, for coordinating that meeting. That being said, the only thing I will share from that, my takeaway from that was, and this is what I do feel is important as it relates to Lewisboro, is that it is extremely important. I can't stress it enough how important it is to bring unity back into our community. And as Dan is well aware, so I'm not saying anything that's going to surprise him, that I feel that he single-handedly did that in the last 2 months. It will be up to Dan, with assistance, if he asks any of us, to help bring unity back in that community, but that has to be led by Dan. I hope that the rest of the board, and I'm sure you would help Dan do that if he asks. But Dan needs to apologize to our community, whether he felt it was for, his comments were about the country of Israel, the Israeli people, or the Israeli government. His statements were his statements, and it just is what it is. So although, yes, I now have a better understanding, and that makes me feel somewhat better, we still need to get beyond that, and we still need to bring it back into our whole community. Dan, I really hope, I know you said you would think about things we talked about. I really hope that whether it's tonight or going forward, it's gonna have to come from you. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. We cannot be a divided town. The board has worked too hard to do that. That being said, Tony, I commend you for not naming Dan for an entire year. However, I was a little surprised the way it was handled. I applaud Mary for taking the position for now. I would have been happy with Andrea, Mary, or Richard. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So if you are going to appoint Mary and you want to keep it for a year, then do it for a year. I know Greg said that terms are not necessary, but you already have it clear in your head what you want it to be. So for you to say you're going to appoint for a year and then say, but no, it's really only 3 months, but still you're going to appoint you for a year anyway. I applaud Andrea and Richard for questioning it, because what does that really say to the community? You want to, I know you want to bring unity back to us. That's not an act that brings unity back. That leaves us with more questions and more concerns. So yes, it is your right to appoint anytime you want to, anyone you want. However, please do not, I hear Jenna, please do not take what everyone is saying lightly, and please make it more clear at least what your intentions are going to be. As you know, and we've talked about, it's about perception.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here? On Zoom?
Yes. Carol Sternak, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, it's Carol Cernak at South Salem. I would like to first wish everybody a Happy New Year. And secondly, to congratulate John Winters on his new appointment as Highway Supervisor, and look forward to his new perspective and his out-of-the-box thinking for how we can operate in a friendly, environmental way to the town. I also have a question that the soil removal was brought up at the Salt Dome. A couple questions I have is, I believe I know the answer to the first one, is that the soil accumulation has been over 2 years, because last year the majority of the pile wasn't removed. Last year, the town board negotiated with Hickory Homes if they were going to award them the portable tree removal operation, that they had to take some of the dirt. So and also, where's the dirt coming from? Are there records? And if the dirt's so valuable, why isn't the town using it? That doesn't make any sense to me. I would hope and request that you do not accept any bids from Hickory Homes, as they've already proven over the past 4 years that they do not have our town's interest as a priority. And also, do you have records of where this dirt's coming from? That's what, is the town going to use any of this dirt on their own property? Isn't there a liability that should be considered for the town of Lewisboro? You know, we always hear the nightmare stories of contaminated soil being dumped on school grounds and inappropriate places. So that's my concern. Thank you. And I hope I don't have to speak about this ever again.
All right, thank you, Carol. Next I'm asking Simone Petromelis to unmute.
Good evening, Happy New Year. I wrote a letter and asked that it be read. It wasn't even acknowledged. With due deference to Councilperson Shaw, your 3 to 4 month appointment is the weakest appointment I've ever seen. A rotating deputy? Are you serious? It could have been Janet Donahue, who does so much for this town, or Councilwoman Rendo, an attorney who is the only Republican to work towards the illusion of unification, or Richard Sclarin, who continuously praises you, who is also an attorney, is a senior on the board, is Jewish, the very people Councilperson Welsh has spoken against. What a strong statement you had the opportunity to make. A town supervisor is a leader who needs to make tough decisions, and you are no such leader. I know for a fact that along with my letter, you received many asking that Councilperson Welsh not be appointed deputy supervisor. Your weak decision tonight was a way for Councilperson Welsh to weasel his way back in. In fact, you even stated nonchalantly that he should be an alternate delegate until Councilperson Rendo and Councilperson Sclarin questioned that. Making this appointment with the defense that you've never missed a meeting is stating what? That you don't need a deputy? What exactly were you saying? Do you even know? You, I feel, in my opinion, have failed the residents of Lewisboro for not standing up and admonishing or censuring Councilperson Welsh. Tonight, you have continued to fail us all. Shame on you. Shame on Councilperson Welsh. How you sleep at night is beyond me. You have no place on this board. Town Supervisor Goncalves, rest easy, as you are now considered complicit with Councilperson Welsh. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
How is that?
It's great.
Okay, thank you. Barbara Mangione, Golden's Bridge. I just want to say, while the deputy supervisor serves at the discretion of the town board supervisor, it really is a position that should be treated in a much more professional manner. Proposing a rotating deputy supervisor is similar to awarding a participation trophy to children on a sports team. The position calls for experience, proactive town board participation, and continuity of appointment. Based on these parameters, as well as others, it is my personal opinion that Rich Sclarin should have been appointed deputy supervisor for a full year and not have this very convoluted system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Kevin Uretsky, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me, Janet?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Kevin Uretsky, Golden's Bridge, and currently track 34 in Grand Central Station. I hope I'm not too loud. Look, here's the bottom line. For better or for worse, for most of my adult life, I've had a forward-facing public as a member of the media. And I understood that everything I said, did, wore, everywhere I went, everything I did reflected upon my employer as well as the community at large. And it mattered. I heard feedback on every last little thing I did. And that was just the cost of admission, for lack of a better term, for the employment that I have. That is even further magnified or exponentially increased when you're an elected official. And I have to say, I was extremely disappointed tonight. And I'm not going to rehash everything, but I was extremely disappointed to hear Dan say that the conversation that was taking place at the beginning of the meeting concerning the deputy supervisor was silly. It wasn't silly, sir. And that proves that you simply don't understand yet the impact of what your words have had on the community at large, and that you refuse to accept responsibility for them. More importantly, it was not a silly discussion. You are a forward-facing elected official. Everything you say, everything you do reflects upon your office and the town at large. And I know you've had private conversations, and I apologize for the overhead announcement. I know that you've had private conversations, but that comment alone proves that you are not yet ready to take responsibility, nor do you fully understand the impact of your words. And Tony, as disappointed as I am in Dan tonight, I'm even more disappointed in you for your complete lack of leadership and your complete unwillingness to take a stand and appoint an appropriate and steadfast deputy supervisor. LOL, my friend, lack of leadership. And again, I apologize for the extraneous noise, and I'll make sure to let you go now. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Kevin. Mickey Denicola, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, everybody. This relates to the comprehensive plan. I corresponded with Katie McGinn not long ago, and she mentioned that I should bring this up at a town board meeting before the public session at the end of January. I noticed that the draft does not include anything about a specific noise ordinance, nor does it include anything about enforcement of violations. So I'm mentioning it as she suggested, and I will also mention it at the meeting on the 29th. In response to Rich's comment at the last meeting, this is where the enforcement part really gets to me. Celebrity Motors has been doing phase one now for almost 4 months. They're in their 4th month. They have not touched the drainage issue. I know, Tony, you promised me something's going to be happening soon, but we're also going to be getting another storm this week. And I don't know how much more my septic fields can take from this nightmare that I've been living. I hate to be beating a dead horse, but that dead horse is laying in my backyard, and it's the time I got rid of it. So I would appreciate somebody minding the store on my behalf and also on behalf of the rest of the town. I don't think many people know what's been going on, but everybody but Mary on the board has been involved with this, and you've just reappointed people who have been following this saga with me for probably 20 plus years. It's the same people, and I'm getting the same response. So I would really appreciate this being addressed sooner than later. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mickey. Jim O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
It's okay.
Jim O'Connor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Happy New Year to everyone. Just a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. The most important one is elections do have consequences. So I just want to remind the people that who voted for the certain individuals on this board, shame on you. And for the people who didn't come out and vote, shame on you also. I've been preaching to the choir. Obviously, there was nobody in the choir to listen. It's said that people look at letters like the letter D or the letter R and only vote for that instead of voting for things with people who have morals and ethics and character. It's quite obvious that we have come to see how certain people on this board are, and they lack those virtues. So I just hope, and I'll reiterate, I do not want Dan to recuse himself, to leave the board, because he sitting there is a prime example of why we should pay more attention to the people that we elect. And for everybody else on the board, shame on you. And probably as a town, as a community, certain things rip us apart. And this is something that I hope will eventually heal and people will come out and pay more attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. And that is it, Supervisor.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, next we have, I'd like to motion that we approve claims. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, polling of the board. I'll start with Mary.
The Lewisboro Library is having an author talk with Stephen Goldman on the 14th at 3 p.m. He's written a book about the Reconstruction after the Civil War. And on the 21st, Barry Pura, a ghost hunter, is also talking about a book he has written on the 21st. I'd like to thank the Highway Department, the first responders, the emergency management team led by Adam Oakes and Dan Murta during the recent weather. They really did a great job as far as communication goes. They spent a lot of quality time with Adam and Dan on phone and email and text, and I'm very proud of how clearly we communicated. And for sorry, I'm taking back my time. For those of you who don't know, there is more weather coming tomorrow, so please get prepared again. And if you haven't already signed up for the emergency alert, please look at the front page at lewisboro.gov.com. There's information there. And I'd like to close with a quick little discussion of January 15th. Our lives began to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And this is a quote by Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. He, on this next Monday, America will pause to commemorate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Though it has been almost 2 generations since he was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, the lessons of service and sacrifice have never been more salient than today. Dr. King stated, "I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." In observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the first and only national holiday dedicated to service by the federal government, let us take a collective moment to reset. We remain committed to what matters most, our community and each other. Let us take a day to reset and reflect on King's most lasting lesson, how we are stronger together as each of us is inextricably bound to one the other by the garment of destiny. Let us all choose love. Dr. King said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Let us choose to put aside the things that so easily divide us today. Instead, let us strive to be the light and love that we want to see in our homes, our workplaces, and the world. His life is a shining example to us all, that each of us can change the world that we wish to see in the world. His life was cut short at the age of 39. And this Monday, January 15th, would have been his 95th birthday. Though his life may not have been long-lived, it was well-lived through acts of service and sacrifice. We will do our best to honor Dr. King, not by trying to model his life and works, but by simply being kind to one another, having faith in each other, remaining resilient in our humanity, and rising together to continue to meet the challenges that may lay ahead.
Andrea?
Happy New Year, everyone. And thank you, Mary. That was really beautiful. I wanted to read a short article regarding our newly installed highway superintendent and his first week. So there was an article in let's see, in the patch that reads as follows. Golden's Bridge Troop 154 would like to thank the local communities of Golden's Bridge, Platona, and South Salem and Walkabout who have made this event a big success and improved the lives of so many youth through scouting. Special thanks goes out to Lewisboro's John Winter, Highway Superintendent, the entire Highway Department, and Bruce Stoddard from the Recycling Center for supporting this activity. The activity that being the recycling of Christmas trees this season. This recycling project provides a service to the community and teaches the organizational and team building skills to the scouts involved at all levels of the project. The money raised from the scouts' efforts will go to support the local troop, funding community service projects, and replacing worn out gear the scouts use throughout the year. The mission of the Scouts, Boy Scouts of America, is to create leaders of tomorrow by building character through outdoor challenges and education. So I want to send a thank you out to Mr. Winter, hitting the ground running this first week. He's got lots of great ideas coming forth, and he's already showing his support for the community by helping the Boy Scouts out with their annual projects. So thank you to him. As far as public comment goes, and with all due respect, Tony, we as a town board didn't decide what public comment was or was not going to be limited to. I believe that was an executive decision. In my opinion, public comment is public comment.
Hey, Rich. Excellent. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Just want to thank everybody who attended Inauguration Day on January 1, including everybody here on the board. Rabbi Rick Wolf was there for opening prayer, which is great to have him there. Just want to add for our newly elected, Carol, newly elected, not appointed highway superintendent, and really terrific job on the first storm. Heard great things about John being on the job, taking care of business for the community. That's wonderful. So many great things to come, and he's already shared many ideas with the board as far as how he wants to hit the ground running. So as highway liaison, I'm going to make sure I sit down with him and bring as many of those good ideas to the forefront as we can. We're here for our organizational meeting, so we have to extend a real debt of gratitude to our volunteers. We went through the people who are on our boards, our councils, our committees,
Advisory councils.
many of whom have done this for decades. And it's not just hyperbole. This town could not run without dedication, the expertise, the knowledge that these people bring to our community year in and year out. We could not do it without them, and we owe them. I know everybody joins me in that eternal debt of gratitude for making our community what it is. And having been elected to my 4-year term, my pledge to everybody here is that I'll continue to do my very best on behalf of my close to 13,000 bosses in the town of Lewisboro. I look forward to 4 years of continued success with our community. Good health and happiness to everybody.
Thanks, Rich. Dan?
Happy to kick off a new session with my colleagues. Looking forward to it. I think there's still a lot of opportunities for the town to help facilitate the community which is really built out of the people in the community, but there's a physical aspect to that, and things that we can do to help that happen. Recently been working on the solar project and car charger projects, and both of those have been tougher than we would have wanted with the technical details about where they can go and installation challenges and things like that. So we hope to have something to show for that in the next few weeks for both of those. To the subject of folks coming up and speaking with reference to myself and things I've written. Once again, I have to say, I'm sorry if things that I said traumatized people or triggered or made them, just struck them in some place that people don't want to go. I understand that. I understand trauma too. I'll just say that much. And the October 7th attacks, those were horrific and heinous. I harbor no hatred towards Jewish people. When people first start saying that, like completely, I couldn't figure out where that was coming from. But I am very concerned for them. And on that account, when you see me protesting the attacks and the war, and this is not town business, but since you came up to speak of it, if I look back and look at when I was protesting the Iraq war, did that not only in support of the people on the receiving end of that, but there's also a moral injury that happens to, the side that's doing the bombing too. That's a very serious thing. And that's something that I think people underestimate. And right now, what's going on in Israel and Gaza, that, obviously the main thing is just the ceasefire and, 23,000 people now dead, but it's also an injury on the side of the folks on the other side as well. It's very hard to come back to normalcy from that. So I would just say that I understand we're not going to, agree on some things, but I would just hope that eventually you see that even if we differ on some historical whatever, like this is not good now for Jewish people. There's just no question about that. So wherever you stand on that, this needs to stop and the war is expanding. I hope you join me at some point in calling for a ceasefire. That's the only thing that's, can possibly work to start turning this around. That's just my personal opinion. It's not town business, but since people came to speak, about me and about, what they think is in my heart and everything, I had to share that. So thanks for the time.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, just a couple of things. So yeah, Carol, regarding the dirt pile, yeah, we're gonna figure out what to do with that pile, whether it's usable or not. I'm not the subject matter expert on that, so I can't respond to that question. But we'll see what the new highway superintendent comes up with, and then take it from there. Regarding the selection of deputy supervisor, and I have received, there were several emails sent to me, probably about 20 or so, about the topic. So yes, I gave it thought, and my solution, and this is not unique to what we did here. This rotating deputy is something that another municipality in Westchester County does. There are municipalities that, they've picked a resident, they've picked their county legislator to fill in as deputy. They've picked other employees within the municipality. Now, when trying to figure out, okay, who's going to fill that role, and you have multiple people interested in that role, the only way to be fair is to rotate. And again, this is done by another municipality. That's where I got the idea from. So I figured, okay, let's do that. Again, it's a position it's a figurehead. It's not a position of power. It's not taking over the supervisor's spot. If something, happened to me, the board would have to decide on who would be the new replacement supervisor. The deputy does not fill in. So we picked, and, and some people take into consideration, again, in discussions I've had with other supervisors, I'm part of the Westchester Putnam Association of Town Supervisors. They look at, yes, they do look at people with experience. They do look at the availability of the individual. And, if they need to preside over a meeting at a last minute's notice, can they be available? So those are the kind of things you look at, but mainly my interest was to spread the wealth, basically, right? I spoke to all the town board members and told them that this is the way I was planning on doing it. So yeah, so we will rotate. The fact that we started off the discussion by saying it was going to be a 1-year appointment is because that's what I was led to believe last week that it had to be. But I found out tonight that it doesn't have to be that. So it's up to me whether I want to make it 3 months, 4 months. And so when the time comes, we'll reappoint. And again, I've spoke to all the supervisors, the town board members here. And Andrew's, she said she's interested. This be a part of this rotation. So did Mary, so did Rich. I don't want to get into a situation where, and what I was looking to avoid is, of course, having one person say, well, why didn't you pick me? Right. So had I picked somebody for a full year, I thought that wouldn't be fair to that person. Right. So this is one way to be fair and spread, like I said, give everybody an opportunity to fill the spot. So yeah, so 3 months from now, whether it's 3 months or 4 months, we'll make that decision and we'll appoint somebody else. Just to do that rotation. Would have loved, the comptroller is an excellent person to be in that position because they do have certain rights that town board members don't have. And that's probably why Leo was picked when he was comptroller. He was picked by Supervisor Parsons. My comptroller, she's too new. Had I picked her, I probably wouldn't hear the other bit. And no matter what decision I made, I probably wouldn't hear the other bit. And that's pretty evident from the discussions tonight. So that is a decision. If people think I'm not being a leader, if I wasn't a leader, I probably wouldn't make a decision, right? But I made a decision, right? And whether, again, it's not everyone's going to be happy with it. So yeah, so we'll when the time comes, we're going to rotate in somebody else. And I'll make sure to put a reminder in my calendar and let folks know that that's what I'm going to be doing. And of course, consult my fellow board members. The inauguration, thank you very much for everyone that came out. It was actually well attended, considering I didn't think too many people were going to come out. So thanks some of the people that were in this room were there. And it was well attended. We had the rabbi there. I was hoping he would do the benediction at the end, but obviously he didn't have more to say. So he kind of joked about that, but that was in the agenda. But he was good. It was great. Yeah, so that's all I have, I think. Yeah, so we'll but again, if I'm here to listen, pick up the phone, don't rely on just emails to get my attention. I had somebody call me today. She says, why didn't you respond to my email that I sent 2 weeks ago? So I'm like, oh, let me look at that email. She sent it 6 days ago. So I called her up. I said, here, this is the best way. So if I don't respond to an email, feel free to call me. I am available. My door is always open. I have an open door policy. Ask Carrie, because usually they go to her office first because her office has supervisor on it. So, and that's on purpose. No kidding. But yeah, so that's, and hopefully, you can see we're doing a lot of good things. And again, that's my focus, is to do what's best for the town. And I'm going to continue doing that with the help of all my board members. So thank you all very much. And Happy New Year. Let's see. So the next town board meeting is on Monday, January 22nd at 7:30 p.m. at the townhouse here at 11 Main Street, South Salem. And now I'd like to go to a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues. So thank you all very much for coming out. Oh, sorry. Second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So thank you all for coming out, folks over Zoom as well. Thank you.